Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel, and I'm Ozymandias, and thank you so much for making me part of your day. And on this one, we're going to be talking about the not Dead Space 2 remake and the little bit of controversy which happened with this one over last night. So I played all the originals. I really enjoyed them. I think that they were a great horror series. I definitely preferred, I think, one out of the three. Two was also great, and then three just basically became an action game, which I didn't really enjoy. But I also played the remake, which came out I think last year or the year before. It I did get it on PC. It did run like crap. The frame stutter was just, in my opinion, just unacceptable. I do need to go back and see if they fixed it, but hey. I will say things which I did like about that remake was I did like how it was all like interconnected and was able to like go back to the previous parts of the Ishimura. But yeah, let's get into this article by IGN. Okie dokie. EA shoots down Dead Space 2 rate rumors. No validity in this story. Okay. Update. Sources say Dead Space 2 remake was never considered by EA Motive. EA has denied reports that Dead Space 2 remake was in development before being cancelled, with a spokesperson telling IGN, "We don't normally comment on rumors, but there is no validity to this story." EA comments follow the reports from Jeff Grubb, who claimed that EA Motive was working on the concepts of Dead Space 2, but that it was ultimately shelved due to the lackluster sales of the previous release. However, IGN understands that EA Motive never considered a Dead Space 2 remake. Right. Jason Schreier. So Jason Schreier is the sort of gaming pundit with Bloomberg, I believe, and I think he was at Kotaku. Don't quote me on that one, but I definitely know who's over at Bloomberg now. Jason Schreier, quote, a rumor today suggested that EA shelved a Dead Space 2 remake, which an EA spokesman denied, saying there was no validity in the story. People familiar with the project tell Bloomberg that EA's statement is correct. Motive has been on other projects for nearly a year. Update. An article on Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier confirms that EA's statement, while adding that EA Motive did spend a few months conceiving ideas for a new entry in the series, but that none were greenlit and fizzled before they could get very far. In part because Dead Space Remake reportedly missed internal targets, the team then instead began exploring other ideas, while the bulk of the developers who worked on Dead Space moved on to different projects. In a post on X Twitter, he added that the chief hope was for a new game, not a remake of Dead Space 2, although both ideas were explored. Ultimately, he says Dead Space is on ice once again, which IGN can corroborate. EA has reported that Dead Space remake's official sales, but it was the best-selling new game in the US in January 2023. Source tells IGN that Dead Space Remake was ultimately considered to have done well, though the other reports suggest that it missed expectations. Yesterday, EA announced that Motive is forming a new team led by Dead Space Remake developers Roman Compos Aurelia, if I pronounced that correctly, and Philip Dutchamere, again, I'm just butchering their names, to support single-player multiplayer objectives for a Battlefield universe. Motive also insists that Iron Man remains an important priority and the development is going well. The Dead Space remake was released in early 2023, earning strong reviews for its visual fidelity and its creative expansion on the original game. It raised hope that EA would continue to remake Dead Space 2, which is well regarded by fans. But now Motive seems to be fully focused on Battlefield and Iron Man. Neither Battlefield Universe nor Iron Man currently have release dates, and you can read about them about all the rest of 2024's biggest games right here. Right, so there we go. So there we have it. That's, I think, pretty much Dead Space dead once again. I'm a little bit disappointed, I'm not going to lie. I do feel that, the ending did kind of end on a little bit of a cliffhanger. But also, it's just a bit of a shame that it seems that... but also on that, I think this puts more stress and... It definitely puts more stress on the new Silent Hill. I think what Capcom's been able to achieve with the Resident Evil remake is nothing short of phenomenal. I played RE2. I played RE2R, RE3R, and RE4R. RE2R is probably my favorite out of the bunch because it feels the one which is most like a horror. 3R and 4R suffer from this. It seems to be that whenever you get to a last sort of like quarter chunk of Resident Evil game, it just turns into an action game. That's where I felt with Resident Evil 2, the horror aspect kind of carried more throughout the game. And I definitely liked the police precincts part of that game as well. That was one of the best horror sort of levels and areas I've played in a very long time. But I think this definitely puts more stress on Silent Hill 2 remake, because if this isn't, if something like Dead Space, which I guess you can argue isn't on the same sort of like branding level or IP level as say Resident Evil, because Resident Evil's had like TV films, TV shows, CGI films, and also live action films as well. Dead Space, only thing had like a couple of animes. Shame, but also I think what this also does for EA is it means that they're probably not going to greenlight as many remakes full stop. It sounds to me like they're definitely going to focus on Patterfield and licensed IP such as Iron Man, and I think they're doing Black Panther as well, but I'm not too sure. And honestly, I would have really liked to seen a Mirror's Edge remake, the first one. I didn't think Catalyst was terrible, but it's a game which didn't need to be open world. Part of what made Mirror's Edge great was it's effectively a speed run. It's how fast can you do each level, and the replayability of that was one of the core aspects of that game, as well as the very clean, hyper sterilized world. And I think bring something like Mirror's Edge 1, where they can make it very linear, just make every level to be a great speedrun level where you have to maneuver your way through. I never liked the shooting of it as well. I always felt that, it just didn't fit the sort of tone of the game, but shooters back then were huge. So, yeah, anyway, that's it. I think that's going to be it for Headspace for a long time. Massive shame. Let me know your thoughts in comments below, guys. Do you think that EA should push with a remake 2, which isn't necessarily a remake of 2, just another entry or a sequel to the remake? And do you think that this was the right decision also? And then on top of that as well, what classic EA games would you love to see remade? I think for me it would probably be Mirror's Edge, as I said, and then maybe Battlefield in Bad Company. I would really like them to go back to sort of that era of that franchise. But anyway, that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you've been entertained and if you like me. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.